The US offered a 100-year lease. Armenia said no. Washington's plan to link Azerbaijan to Nakhichevan through Syunik was meant to bring peace. But to Yerevan, it looked like surrender. Now Russia's furious, Azerbaijan's demanding more, and Armenia's caught in the middle again. Is this diplomacy or a new kind of land grab? And who's really drawing the borders this time? Armenia has decisively turned down a controversial United States proposal that would have granted Azerbaijan access to a land corridor through Armenian territory. The proposal, revealed by US Ambassador to Turkey Thomas Barak on July 11th, called for a 100-year lease arrangement that would connect mainland Azerbaijan to its Nakhichevan exclave through Armenia's strategic Syunik province. The Armenian government's response was swift and unambiguous. Armen Yeghoryan, a senior lawmaker from the ruling Civil Contract Party and chairman of the Armenian Parliament Committee on European Integration, explained the government's position in an interview with Factor TV.
We're talking about sovereignty, delegation of authority? But to whom and what exactly would we be delegating? The Americans did have such an idea, but it was not acceptable to us because we saw a danger of compromising our sovereignty.
Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's press secretary, Nazeli Bagdasaryan, reinforced this rejection on July 14th, clarifying that Armenian law permits only the lease of agricultural land for farming or grazing purposes. However, the Prime Minister himself appeared to leave some room for interpretation during a July 16th news conference, suggesting that such arrangements could potentially be structured as construction permits.
Under our legislation, this is called a construction permit, and under certain conditions, investments granted under this right to build remain or become the property of the Republic of Armenia after the expiration of a contract.
The proposed corridor would have been operated by an American company as part of Washington's broader effort to facilitate a peace agreement between the two South Caucasus nations. Yet Armenian officials and opposition groups view this not as a peace-building initiative, but as a fundamental threat to their country's territorial integrity and national security. The stakes are particularly high given Azerbaijan's persistent demands. President Ilham Aliyev has repeatedly insisted that transit through the proposed route be exempt from Armenian border controls, effectively creating what critics describe as an extraterritorial passage. Bagdasaryan dismissed these demands on Monday, calling them a hidden territorial claim against Armenia. Opposition leaders have expressed deep concern about what they term the Zangezur corridor, viewing it as part of Azerbaijan's long-term strategy to weaken Armenian control over its southern regions. They argue that allowing foreign control over Syunik, even temporarily, would cut Armenia off from Iran, a crucial partner in trade and regional relations. As the United States increased its involvement in Armenian-Azerbaijani negotiations, Russia has voiced strong displeasure at being marginalized from the peace process. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova claimed on July 24th that the West wanted to transfer the process of reconciliation between Baku and Yerevan to their own tracks. Zakharova criticized what she called the West's purely opportunistic motives, warning they could lead to an imbalance in the security system in the region. Zakharova dismissed American proposals as unoriginal, arguing that similar arrangements had already been agreed upon by Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Russia following the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh War.
The Americans, for example, say that they allegedly have a unique solution to the issue. In fact, they cannot offer anything new, except for what was done within the framework of the Specialized Trilateral Working Group, co-chaired by the Deputy Prime Ministers of Russia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. There is deceit here, too.
The Russian spokesperson blamed Western influence for stalling progress in the Trilateral Working Group.
Unfortunately, due to the destructive influence of Westerners on the position of the Armenian authorities, the work in the group has stalled.
Meanwhile, recent developments suggest Moscow may be preparing to reassert its influence in the region. Reports from the Armenian newspaper Graparak indicate that large quantities of military equipment and ammunition have been delivered to the Russian base in Gyumri in recent weeks, with cargo planes carrying military supplies landing daily. The purpose of these shipments remains unclear, but regional experts speculate that Moscow may be preparing for potential changes in the region. Prime Minister Pashinyan's recent trip to Altai for an environmental conference attended by 8 Russia-aligned countries, accompanied by his wife and daughter, has been interpreted as an attempt to rebuild bridges with Moscow. This comes as Armenia confirmed it does not intend to withdraw from the Eurasian Economic Union, indicating Yerevan's reluctance to abandon the economic benefits of Russian energy pricing. The shifting regional dynamics reflect broader questions about Armenia's future orientation as it navigates between competing international pressures while defending its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Adding complexity to this regional puzzle, Armenia has already endured significant territorial and humanitarian losses in recent years, from the devastating 2020 war in Artsakh to the ethnic cleansing of the native Armenian population in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2023. These recent wounds make the current corridor proposal particularly sensitive for Armenian leadership and citizens alike. The people of Syunik province have repeatedly voiced their opposition to any arrangement that would place their homeland under foreign control, viewing such proposals as yet another attempt to pressure Armenia into one-sided concessions while Azerbaijan continues to issue threats and demands for territorial access.